Marcus Carter woke up the next morning to a string of anonymous text messages on his phone. Blurry photos of himself and Nicole from the night before, followed by a chilling warning: "Stop your little crusade or you'll lose everything." He stared at the screen, jaw tight, realizing the executives were already watching him. He glanced out the window and noticed a dark SUV idling across the street. This wasn't just about dishonest business anymore. This was about power, greed, and intimidation. Still, Marcus refused to back down. That day, he gathered Nicole, Tom, Sophia, and a few other trusted employees in the flagship store's back room. "They're on to us," Marcus admitted, "but that just means we need to act faster. Tomorrow, I'm holding a surprise company-wide meeting. The press will be there. We'll reveal everything: emails, recordings, proof of fraud. Once the truth is public, they can't bury it." Nicole nodded but looked uneasy. "Marcus, these people aren't just corrupt, they're dangerous. If they're willing to follow you, what else are they willing to do?" That night, Marcus prepared every piece of evidence into a single presentation: every altered receipt, every executive email authorizing surcharges, every audio clip of Richard boasting about cheating customers. He hardly slept, heart pounding, as he imagined the fallout. The next morning, the flagship store was filled with employees from multiple locations, confused but curious. Camera crews and reporters were already setting up. Thanks to a call Marcus had made to a local news station, the atmosphere was electric, tension thick in the air. Marcus stepped onto the small platform at the front of the store, Nicole and the trusted employees standing beside him. "For 15 years, I built Carter's Coffee to serve this community honestly. But while I was busy expanding, others turned my business into a scam, cheating customers, stealing tips, and destroying the values this company was built on. Today, that ends." Gasps echoed as Marcus began playing audio recordings on a speaker. Richard's voice crystal clear as he bragged about the surcharge strategy. Emails flashed on a screen showing corporate executives approving schemes to pad profits at customers' expense. Employees covered their mouths in shock. Customers who had been invited to attend stared in disbelief. Marcus turned to Nicole. "This is the woman they tried to frame and fire because she did the right thing helping people when they needed it most. And there are dozens more like her who've been silenced. That stops today." The crowd erupted in applause, the mood shifting from shock to support. But just as Marcus announced, every single customer overcharged will be refunded. Every honest employee will be protected. The front doors slammed open. Richard entered, flanked by 2 suited men and several store managers loyal to him. He strode up to Marcus with a thin smile. "Impressive show, Carter, but you just made the biggest mistake of your life." Marcus stared him down. "The truth's out, Richard. It's over." Richard leaned close, voice cold enough to freeze the room. "No, Marcus, it's just beginning. You think the press will save you? My attorneys will bury you in lawsuits. Your investors will pull out. And when this is done, Carter's Coffee will belong to me." Before Marcus could respond, a loud crash came from the back of the store. Employees screamed as smoke began pouring from the stockroom. Someone shouted, "Fire!" Panic erupted, customers rushing for the exits. Marcus spun toward Nicole, only to see one of Richard's men grab her arm and pull her toward the back. "Nicole!" Marcus yelled, shoving through the chaos, but the man vanished into the smoke, dragging her away. The last thing Marcus heard was Richard's voice, calm and cruel over the commotion. "You wanted war, Carter. Now you've got one." Marcus pushed through the haze, coughing, heart racing, eyes darting wildly for any sign of Nicole. Somewhere outside, police sirens wailed closer. Then his phone buzzed. A single message appeared on the screen. "We have her. Bring all the evidence to the location we'll send you tonight alone, or you'll never see her again." Marcus froze, every muscle tight with fear and rage. The evidence in his hands could destroy Richard and his allies forever. But now they had Nicole. Marcus Carter sat in his truck, gripping the steering wheel so tightly his knuckles turned white. The text message still glowed on his phone. "We have her. Bring all the evidence to the location we'll send you tonight alone, or you'll never see her again." Rage and fear battled in his chest. Nicole, the one person who had stood by him from the start, was now a hostage in Richard's game. An hour later, a new message came through with an address, an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. Marcus didn't hesitate. He gathered every piece of evidence, printed emails, USB drives, his phone recordings, and placed them in a duffel bag. But he also slipped a small hidden camera into his jacket. As night fell, Marcus arrived at the warehouse. The parking lot was empty except for a black SUV. Richard stood there, flanked by two men in suits, arms crossed and smiling like a man who thought he had already won. "Glad you could make it, Carter," Richard said smoothly. "Where's the evidence?" Marcus tossed the duffel bag onto the ground. "Where's Nicole?" Richard gestured casually, and one of the men opened a side door. Nicole stumbled out, hands bound but unharmed. She met Marcus's eyes, a mix of fear and defiance in her gaze. "Smart man," Richard said, picking up the bag. "You just saved her life and handed me my future." Marcus's voice was cold. "You won't get away with this." Richard laughed. "I already have. By tomorrow morning, you'll be painted as a bitter old owner who lost control of his company. And all this," he shook the duffel, "will disappear forever." Before Marcus could reply, a sudden beam of headlights cut across the lot. A van screeched to a halt, and out poured Tom, Sophia, and several employees Marcus had trusted. "Marcus, we called the police," Tom shouted. Richard's smug smile faltered for the first time. "You idiots," he snarled at his men. "Get rid of them now." Chaos erupted. One of Richard's men lunged at Tom, but Sophia swung a heavy flashlight straight into his ribs. Nicole kicked her chair backward, knocking over the other thug. Marcus grabbed Richard by the collar, wrestled him to the ground, and yanked the duffel bag from his hands. Sirens wailed in the distance, closer this time. Richard tried to scramble away, but Marcus pinned him down. "It's over," Marcus growled. But then Richard grinned a chilling, confident grin. "You think you've won? You have no idea who you're really up against." Before Marcus could ask what he meant, the sound of screeching tires filled the air. Another SUV roared into the lot, doors flying open. Men in dark tactical gear jumped out, guns drawn, not police but private security. "Drop it, Carter," one of them barked. "You're coming with us." Tom froze. Sophia screamed for everyone to get down. Marcus stood slowly, clutching the bag of evidence to his chest, eyes darting between the armed men and Richard, who was now laughing like a man who had planned this all along. "Marcus," Richard said, voice dripping with triumph, "meet the people who actually own Carter's Coffee. You're just a piece on their board, and you've just made your last move." One of the masked men stepped forward and pulled off his helmet. Marcus's stomach dropped as he recognized the face of former friend, a co-founder he hadn't seen in over a decade. "Hello, Marcus," the man said quietly. "We need to talk. If you enjoyed this powerful story of courage, redemption, and standing up for what's right, I've handpicked another one that will touch your heart and leave you inspired. It's a story you don't want to miss."